Today I want to do some writing and I want to answer some questions along the way. And this is live, so you're free to ask me questions in the chat if you like to. And I'm just going to do things the way I like to do them and explain along the way, and then maybe just talk about just general musicianship stuff. So here I've got Logic Pro, which is my favorite place to write music. You don't have to use Logic Pro. You don't have to use recording software at all. This is just the way I really enjoy making music. By the way, I've got my sidekick with me today, Betty, who's just taking a nap over there. I'm using a Midi controller in Logic Pro, which is a recording, it's called a digital audio workstation. And what I have here is this little Midi keyboard, so that when I pick any sound in my computer here, in my software, this can trigger, it can trigger drum sounds, but it can also trigger any MIDI sound I want. So here's some synthy. It can trigger anything. So I'm gonna start with some drums because I personally like to start with something kind of predictable, and maybe I'll use this maybe I'll start with this Motown kit, and I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. And then I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna make it sound really nice for you so that, let's see, we'll go something like this. This is a compressor. And that's just gonna keep these sounds from getting a little too crazy over here. And then I'm gonna put a limiter on here so that it sounds like more like the final volume that you're used to hearing on a. There we go. And in case you're wondering how this MIDI controller works, there's a designated key for each piece of the kick, each piece of the drum kit. And so I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna pick a tempo, and let's see, turn the metronome on. That's kind of fun. Let's try something like that. Yeah, so I didn't do it perfectly, but another thing I love about MIDI is that I'm not here to produce like the most perfect album here. I'm not here to perform every instrument perfectly. I want to use this drum kit just as a metronome, basically. So what I just did was I quantized it, which means I didn't play it perfectly in time. This little grid here is showing beats, and before I quantized it, you can see, oh, I was playing kind of late on some of these, probably early on some of them too, so I just made it all perfect time. And now when we listen, unless some of my beats were so off that they fixed to the wrong place, we can go here. And it looks like there's one beat here that I did not fix yet. I don't know what's going on here. Let's quantize everything. There we go. Yeah, so I've got this nice beat here. And that's great. So what I want to do now is I can either go with some very basic chords. I can even limit myself on purpose because I'm a bad keyboard player. I can limit myself to some chords here, or I could go straight to guitar, or I could go to bass. And sometimes it's nice to have some very simple chords to start with, and then have bass, and then add guitar to make kind of a fancy rhythm part over that. But let me see. Let me see if I can find, I'm gonna create a new track here for keyboard. And I know I'm gonna have to turn it down, so I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit. And maybe I will do something weird. What if we do, well, we don't have to do something too weird. Let's try an organ. How about something like this? Something like that is kind of nice. And here I'm using the same keyboard. I know this is a guitar channel, but it's really just about making music. So I'm gonna have to fix this. Yeah, there's something here. Okay, so I'm gonna record something and it's gonna be very sloppy, but I'll fix it in the software here. Okay, so that was pretty sloppy. You can see I hit some extra notes in here. I'm gonna hide those bad ones. And I'm gonna fix the timing. And I'm also going to probably even out some of the velocity, which is basically how hard I hit the notes. This is kind of producing, I guess, but it's also just making music. So let's see if I hit another wrong note down here. I hit a G when I wanted a G sharp. That's kind of fun already. Let me lengthen these out a little bit. I want this to be really, really constant. For now. Yeah. So now something I want to do here is, as I'm getting the bass set up, I want you to notice this kick pattern. And I'm gonna turn this that kick pattern is loosely what I'm gonna match on the bass. So I'm gonna set up the bass here, and I just added some hardware to my setup here, and it's not really set up perfectly yet, so I'm gonna have some issues, but we'll get it sorted out. Writing workflow is important, and the more you write, the more you develop a workflow, the more you develop sort of an approach to getting everything done the way you want it. I'm gonna go back in here. I'm gonna make sure I'm in tune. Let's see. 2 flat. A touch 2 flat. Let's see. A little 2 flat. Better. A touch sharp. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, this is just the raw tone of the guitar, or of the bass, I mean. So I'm going to just throw something on it, and hopefully this doesn't make any of my software freak out. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And then I'm going to throw a compressor on there, just so that we're in good shape. I like to use a high ratio, somewhere around here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but then I'm gonna turn the threshold down a bit so we're getting a little more noise than I expected, but I guess that's part of developing my new setup here. So I'm gonna turn it down a touch, and my chord progression is F, E major, E minor, and I'm kind of messing with it a little bit. Because the chord progression could either be, let's see, well, let me zoom out. The chord progression could either be F, E major, A minor, to G, to E, a little quick E minor in there, or I could think of it as or I could think of it as E minor the whole time. I'm going to play with it. I don't know yet. And I'm going to think about that kick beat as well. But for now, I'm sort of just playing around with the bass line, and I'll tidy it up once I get a better sense of how I want it. So let me get in a little better focus. So I'm playing around here with how I want this bass line, because with that kick line, which I'm going to solo that kick line for a second, and I'm going to think I kind of want to stay on a root note or a root or a fifth for those first kicks, the da da ga ga, and then for the kicks that are kind of spread out, I want to move the bass line a little bit. So if I go something like this, and you see how I'm not doing it perfectly. It's not exact, but it's using that kick line as just a general guide. So I'm gonna mess with this a little bit more, and I see a couple questions coming up, so I might answer those once I feel like I have this bass line dialed in. But I'm going to kind of take my time with it. So I'm getting somewhere. I kind of like going low with that F. But I want to go. But I could do a little walk. Yeah. And I think what I'm going to do too is I'm starting to feel like there's a bass line in here that could be doubled. I'm trying not to be too precious about it, but it's when you get an idea for like something like this, it's kind of fun to think, okay, my bass line could be double the length that it is right now, so might as well just go for it. So here we go. I'm not going to nail it. This is just writing, not performing. Here we go. Yeah, I like something about that. Yeah, what am I doing? I like what I'm doing. I'm just finessing it. I'm getting too fancy with it. I'll do something simple and straightforward and we'll move on to the next thing. Almost there. I just want a nail. That's nice. Okay, so let's get in there. I am going to put this bass back and let's just give this a listen as is. I'm gonna mix it in a little bit. I like to mix from 0 up. I also want to do a little EQ here, and then I'll get to some questions. I might actually take a little... It's too bad that buzz is in there. I'll have to hunt down... It loops a little bit funny. But here, let's hear it just with the keys. Cool. This is fun. Okay, so looks like some questions have come up, so let's get to questions. And I saw one up here I want to get to first. Chris R530 says, how do you feel about GarageBand? Well, GarageBand is what I started on, and I like GarageBand. I think it's a fantastic starting point. Writing isn't primarily about technical skill. It's about self-expression. And GarageBand makes it really easy to get started with this kind of recording stuff. And so a lot of people, they sort of get this thing in their head where they go, okay, if I'm gonna start writing music, then I better learn guitar. And if I learn guitar, I better learn piano. And if I learn guitar and piano, I better take voice lessons. And then I should probably take songwriting lessons if I really want to write music. And then I should learn recording software. And that means I should probably go to school for engineering. And then by the time you think through this whole list of things, you forgot why you started in the first place, which is just to express yourself. And a lot of people get all this overwhelmed with all these things that they could do. And that's because you get lost in the sauce, basically. You forget that the point of learning an instrument is to express yourself. And if you start from that point, just use whatever means you have available for now until you feel like, oh, I need more out of this. There's something else missing. And that's when you go, okay, GarageBand sounds like a really fun way to express myself. GarageBand is an awesome starting point. It's like Logic Pro with all of the hard, complicated features missing. It sort of streamlines the process, makes it a lot simpler for you. So I highly recommend starting with GarageBand. And not to toot my own horn, but I do have a GarageBand Basics series on my Patreon. My Patreon is where I've been posting all of my lessons for the past 6 years now. I think I have over 750 posts, but the GarageBand series is pretty basic. It just gets you started. And I also have plenty of melody writing series, bass, a lot of stuff, and a weekly live Q&A where I'm doing this kind of thing exactly. Also, for those of you who might be watching on vertical mode, you're going to miss a lot if you're over there, so watch this on YouTube full screen. It'll be helpful. But I'm trying this new feature to stream to the shorts field here and see how it's going. Okay, back to questions, and then I'll get back to writing. So let's see. Emil, thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Wild Warlock, oh, hang on one sec. We'll come to that in a second. Wild Warlock says, do you do your own lyrics or just instrumental? Do you have a video on your channel on how to start a home studio for beginners? A tier list of basic gear to advanced stuff? Yeah, I do write lyrics. I have, I think, one song on Spotify that I just produced myself, kind of just for fun a while back. But I mainly write with other people, and most musicians I know are specialists, and that's a good thing. It's fun to be a specialist, and it's another reason to just get started and write and do what you do now, because you're gonna find other people that are the missing piece for you. But yeah, I write lyrics, and I've been thinking about doing a little series on my Patreon about writing lyrics. But people have asked me tons of questions in the live Q&A that I do every week on, like, how do you get started writing lyrics? And I've talked a lot about it, so come check it out. Chris R says, for the bass line, are you mainly focusing on triad shapes? Actually, for the bass line, I'm mainly focused on two things. Let's go to the screen here. For this bass line, what we have here is surprisingly simple. This chord is an F major 7, and I'm just playing an F on the bass. Now for this next chord, that is an E7 chord, I am doing something that bass players do pretty often, which is I'm starting on the root note of the chord, an E, and then I'm walking up the scale to get to the 5th of the chord. Bass players, fight me in the comments if you want, but bass players, home bass, no pun intended, for bass players is roots and 5ths, and then I guess it depends. I'm thinking of like Motown bass is roots, 5ths, and then for minor chords it's 7s, for major chords it's 6. That's kind of home bass. And from there, bass players will sometimes do a walking bass line to the next chord, or something that sounds like it's walking to the next chord. So this bass line here that's going from E major is going from E major to A minor. So I'm walking up the scale to B, E, F sharp, G sharp, B, or what is it? E, G sharp, A, B, G, A, and then I'm going back to A. So it's sort of like a little, I can show you on the camera guitar here, assuming it's working. I had some technical difficulties today. It wouldn't surprise me if this thing isn't working. I can't hear it, which means I have to unmute it, but like I said, some technical difficulties. We're just chilling. We're hanging out. I'm gonna keep it chill. Oh, we got this cool tone today. I'll live with it. So we've got an E major chord, which I'll put in blue. And then we've got an A minor chord, which I will put in pink. So this is the chord that the bass line's playing over, and I'm playing. So this is the root note of the chord. This is the 5th of the chord. So I'm playing root, 3, 4, 5, basically, to get to A. And the root note, I'm always trying to get to the root note of the chord on the first note of the beat. So, and I'm playing root and 5th here. And when I go to the G, I'm over the G chord here, I'm playing, here's G, B, and D in green, I guess. I'm playing root, 3rd, 5th, 6, and that's leading me back to the F root note of the original chord. So I could play along with this bass line if you want to see exactly what I mean here. It's going to sound a little funny. But here, let's see if this works. I'm going to miss the first note because I got to hit play, but so that's the idea with that. Let's get back to the camera guitar here. I'm pleasantly surprised at how many questions are coming through, so we'll just keep working through questions for a few minutes, and then I'll get back to writing. Wild Warlock, I forgot about your other question. Do I have a video on my channel about how to start a home studio for beginners? A tier list of basic gear to advanced stuff. I talk about that kind of thing a lot. With GarageBand, I think if you're starting from zero, you don't want to plan to build a whole studio because, okay, here's why. Writing music is an art form. And when you have an art form, you have a workflow. Different people do art forms differently. You can develop a ritual or just like a pattern that works best for you, a starting point. For example, with me, I don't do this all the time, but I have a couple different modes of writing. And what I was doing today was my favorite mode, which is start with a beat, put a basic chord progression on it, and then add a bass line. And that to me is just so fun. It creates some kind of a mood, and it inspires me to write a melody. This is also how I write for my band, Hot Bodies in Motion. Check us out on Spotify. But I strongly recommend that you start with something absolutely basic first, and then as you discover your workflow, you start adding things that that make your setup more complex, but make the way that you do your process simpler. That's the goal of having all that gear, right? If you want to start a studio for business, like to run a studio as your job, that's a different thing. But if you're talking about creating a studio to write your own music, that's the thing I recommend. So let's get to the next question here. iScoot says, "Hi Scott, love your chilled yet informative content. Keep up the good work. Is there a secret to quickly find rhythmic melodies that complete each other using different instrument layers?" Yeah, a lot of that. We'll talk about that more as we move along. But a lot of that has to do with the drum beat. And with the drum beat, you can either accent things or you can deliberately. I mean, you're essentially accenting things all the time, but you're either accenting beats that the drums are doing, or you're filling in beats that the drums aren't doing. And a lot of times you can think of it as, I'm going to glom onto the ride cymbal or the hi-hats, or I'm going to emphasize the snare with my strumming pattern, or I'm going to emphasize the kick with my bass line, right? There's ways to think about it, but a lot of it too comes down to what instruments are going to be my canvas instruments. For example, this is a canvas. This is a blank slate for other instruments to do something more interesting, and this is just kind of holding down the fort. And the bass line here is doing something a lot more rhythmic, right? So sometimes with your instruments, you have to figure out what role do you want them to play. Do you want them to be featured? Do you want them to be an interesting rhythmic element that stays kind of static and predictable? Or do you want them to be glue that just kind of holds everything together? But we'll talk about that more, and maybe I'll just do a bunch of writing. Maybe I'll write something new as well. M.A., thank you so much for the $10. You always appreciate me sharing. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Wild Warlock says you should have a link to your Patreon attached to this live stream. That's a good point, but I have it attached to all my other videos, and this live stream, at least currently, doesn't seem like it's popping off in any major way, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's see. Chris R says, any tips for dealing with clipping? Is it just typically an issue with volume input? Okay, this is a big one. Okay, so anytime you plug an instrument into your audio interface. There's typically what you're doing is you're plugging into something that I'm not probably not going to be able to show you, but I will try. This thing over here is the side of my audio interface, and it's got all these different inputs that make little flashing lights when they receive a signal, is what I'm saying, words. And so a lot of people think, oh, if I can't hear myself, I should turn the gain up on that audio interface, when it's really a whole system of maybe actually you turn your headphone volume up and you turn everything else down in your software in here, because the level that I choose for my bass right here, where are you? Hit play. This isn't going to result in clipping in here unless I turn it up too high. But initially when you're recording, the goal is to set the gain on your audio interface, your preamps, right? Those preamps that have the knobs, they're not there for you to adjust your volume in your ears. They're just there to get the perfect volume into the recording software. And then from there, you can turn the volume up or down however you need to. So, hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to pause questions right now, and I'm going to try to figure out a guitar part for this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mute this cool tone, and I'm going to go in my software and pick a, what is this, input 13, I believe, which is just kind of raw guitar. So, in my software here, this is actually probably good timing because I might have to adjust this input. So the way to adjust the input volume is, if you see here, I have my this little guy right here, this little slider set to 0. So whatever sound is coming in is just the sound from the preamp. And if I were to turn my preamp volume up like this, well, that's going to give me clipping that no matter what I do, it's getting recorded too loud. And you can actually hear that, you can see this in the software. Check this out. Sorry if I just blasted anyone's ears, but what does distortion look like in software? It looks like this when, I'm trying to see if I can zoom in enough. All of these little waveforms here, you could think of this as instructions for your speaker. The middle line here is your speaker just in the middle, and then this line down here is saying, okay, your speaker moves in here, and then your speaker moves out like this. And these smooth movements here, if you zoom in even more, you can see all of these are pretty smooth. Even this one is pretty smooth. This is essentially instructions for your speaker to move in or out. Well, if you think about a physical speaker, what is it going to do when it meets with a right angle like this, where it just abruptly stops? Physically, it's going to have a lot of difficulty just abruptly stopping like that. And so that essentially you could think of as, that's what's causing distortion, is you're trying to have your physical speaker instantly stop, and it can't. And it's going to cause some problems for you. So this right here is an example of your input gain being too loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there's actually a little red light that flashes on my interface right there that's telling me, oh, I'm clipping. I'm actually inputting volume that's too loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that knob down to somewhere around here, and I'm going to jam on this as loud as I can, or as loud as I'm ever going to. And so that just hit the top of that bar on the far left, and I don't ever want it to hit that top bar. So I'm going to turn this down. And I'm going to turn it down to about, probably around here. So now I'm never going to get that clipping. And it's not going to sound good yet because I haven't added any software effects to it, but you can see even my crazy spikes here are not getting anywhere close to the top of this bar. So that's going to be my starting point. And I could probably turn it up a tiny bit, but I'm going to leave it there just so I don't risk clipping. But that's essentially what to think about here. I'm actually going to roll off, before I even add an amp simulator to this, I'm going to roll off some low end because I already know I want this to be a rhythm guitar. I'm going to add an amp designer here. Let's see. So, what do I want to do with guitar? We were talking about interesting rhythm parts, and something I could think about here is, wow, my rhythm was way off because I was getting set up there, but I can think about trying to match up with the hi-hats here. So let me see here. What do we got? Right, those hi-hats are just going ding, 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 and I can kind of mimic that with my guitar part if I want to. So it'd be something like this. And that could be nice. I'm going to throw a limiter on this too because it's a little spiky. I just got a new pickup for this thing. And a limiter is just going to... is just going to help it be a little less spiky. But you can hear how I'm just sort of trying to match the... And I'm not matching up perfectly with the hi-hats. There's a little extra hi-hat in there somewhere. I'm not getting meticulous about it. I'm just sort of generally thinking that might be a good rhythm part. But now if I listen to the snare, I could try to match up with the snare a little bit, and I could think differently. And so now, if you listen to the drums, you can hear, yeah, I'm kind of just matching up with the snare. And for me, that sounds kind of fun because the bass is matching up with the kick drum, and so the snare is kind of, it's almost like I don't need the drums anymore. You hear how that kind of mimics that drum beat with those kicks and snares. I played it a little sloppy, but what I like to do is, I don't like to zoom in on that in particular. I like a lot of different... I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit, and I'll just kind of goof around and find something I like. One thing I'm not loving though is that my latency feels a little off, and I'm worried that if I bump it, oh, that's why. Okay. Well, let me know if you hear any glitchy sounds because my computer's going through a lot right now. Also, my face is turning red just because it's a little hot in here. Everything's fine. Don't worry. Okay. Playing around with guitar parts. I'm gonna actually turn my tone down a little bit. And I don't know what I'm gonna do, we'll see. Let's get this recording and we'll find something cool. Ah. So, I'm not quite nailing it, but I kind of like, there's a little chord story in there where it goes, where I'm going, it's like the high notes are going, and I want to make it tell a little more of a story, so I'm going, what am I doing? So this is just another E major. So, I kind of like that. I kind of like doing this little G7 with that little sus chord in there, up to this quick little E minor, back to. And I'm a little... Okay, let's try it again. Ah. I keep forgetting where I'm gonna go after that, but I kind of like how this is feeling. Yeah, I'm really not nailing the timing though, which is bothering me. And I think a little part of it is because the tone's actually kind of bothering me. Let me turn the gain up slightly. Let's see. And I'm gonna turn the treble down a little bit. Turn the presence way down because it's a little spiky. And let's try this reverb. So now, that's better. That's better. That's helping. I might even turn the tone knob up on my guitar, and then let's try this. I think I like this a little better. Maybe I rolled off too much low end here. Let's see. Hey, come on. The double click. Try that. That's much nicer. This one I feel like I'm gonna write a part 2 for it. So let's just get this whole thing. And here we go. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And of course, if you got more questions, let me know. This is live. That's fine. We got it. It's good enough. When you're writing stuff, to me, this is like the magic of writing, is you get this practice where it's like, oh, I wrote something I'm capable of, but I'm not nailing it. And that, to me, that's the main way that I've gotten better at guitar, is writing parts that I can't quite nail. Let's see if I nailed it. That's kind of fun. As just a fun little side note, if your timing is good, even if your parts aren't perfectly aligned, it's a really fun little recording trick to play not the identical part, but to play a different recording of the same part, and then pan one hard right and one hard left, and man, it's a really cool sound. I'm gonna turn it down and then I'll bring it into your ears. And these parts are not identical, so they're gonna kind of they're gonna play around with each other a little bit. Okay, I like that. That's fun. We'll keep that. So now we gotta stop for a second and think, where do we go from here? What do we do? What is this? What do we call this? Is this a verse? Is this a chorus? Is this, what is this thing? And the answer is, we don't know yet. We don't know what this is yet. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, if we listen to it and we kind of describe what's going on with it, we also got to figure out, what the heck key is this in? Is this in a key? Yes. I gotta get my pen. I like it a lot. So here's what I'm thinking. We've got this chord progression that goes F, E7, A minor to G. That's the simplest way to look at it. So now we got to figure out, what key is this? How do we know? Where do we go? What do we do with this? Well, this chord progression is in the key of A minor, but it's using a harmonic minor. So the formula for a minor scale is whole, half, whole, half, whole. And A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. That's the scale. To get all the chords in the key, we just take every other note and sort of use those as our guide to build all the chords in the key. So I'm going to breeze past this part, and we'll give you the Roman numerals here for the chords in the key of A minor, which are, these are the chords in A minor. We got A minor is the 1 chord, B diminished is the 2 chord, C major is the 3 chord, D minor is the 4 chord, E minor is the 5 chord, F major is the 6 chord, and G major is the 7 chord. Now hang on a sec. Something's wrong. We've got an E7. That's a major chord. This is a minor chord. What's the deal here? Well, the deal is, I was talking about harmonic minor before, and I have a whole course about the major key and the minor key, and sort of pretending that they're people who are jealous of each other. In the minor key, when you sharp the 7th note of the scale, that G sharp, what that does is it turns a chord that was E, G, B, D. This is an E minor 7 chord. It turns that chord into an E, G sharp, B, D, which is an E7. So that's why I'm saying this is in the key of A minor, and we have this cool harmonic minor 5 chord, which I'll put here. And I'm also going to put some other chords that we have access to make this key a little more interesting. We have a D major or a D7 chord we could mess with. If we really wanted to, we could mess with a B flat major chord we can steal from Phrygian mode. But generally speaking, these are the chords in the key of A minor, which is really fun. So where do we want to go from here? And what does it mean to go somewhere from here? Well, we could look at this progression and we could go, okay, what's going to complement it? It might be really fun to start a progression with A minor next time around. And then I don't know where to go from there, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build out another section of this, and then we can compare. And as we compare, we'll get a sense of, is this a major key or a minor key? Or, I mean, we already know it's a major key. What am I trying to say? We already know it's a minor key. But if we just write a section that complements this using other chords in the key, we'll kind of get a sense of where it could possibly go. So for me, I can take a vote in the chat here. Would you rather this progression gets more intense or more chill? I personally want more chill, but let's see. I'm gonna make this drum beat. I'm gonna make it a little more chill, and I might do that by changing from ride cymbal to hi-hats. And let's see, yeah. So I'm gonna change this to we're gonna do some doubled sort of 16th notes hats. That's kind of fun. And maybe I'll put a little, let's see, a couple of little open hats in here to kind of be a little something like this. And maybe I'm gonna go simpler on the kick pattern. Let's see, bonk, dunk, 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 dunk. Yeah, I like this. So we're gonna start here with something very simple, and maybe we'll get more complex as we go. Since I've already got guitar, I'm gonna throw guitar down, and maybe we can keep it chill, but we can do some kind of fancier chords. Instead of just a A minor, maybe I want to do an A minor 9. Yeah, someone's saying it already feels like a chorus. I'm not sure. I think this might feel like a verse, but maybe it will feel like a chorus, or maybe it'll feel like a pre-chorus. I don't know yet. And that's the fun thing, is you don't have to know, and it's actually better not to try to force it to be something. It's better to go, okay, I know I want a more chill section. So if I do A minor to C major 7 to D minor, and I also want the chords to change less often in this section, so not too exciting yet, but that's okay. I don't know how I want to do these voicings. Let's try this. So something I can do here is, if we think about the section before, how can we be complementary but different? So one of the things I like to think about is if I just describe the parts, right? The guitar part for this section was busy. And so this section, I want it to be simpler and open, right? And of course, I didn't strum perfectly on beat, but we're writing. We're not doing a final recording of anything. So that's what I thought about for this section. I was also thinking about how over here, we sort of have the bass and guitar doing something very different. So it might be fun to have them do the same timing in this section. And for the keyboards, since they're being held the whole time, it might be fun to have them do some shorter notes to give some more space. Or let's see, maybe I have them lift at a certain point. Or maybe I just have them do a high up beep. Hey, I don't want to record over the guitar. How dare you, software? There we go. I forgot the chords already. So I was gonna go bop, t, t, t. Something like that, so the keyboard gets to be so it just gets a little, let me fix the timing. Let me see how this slams in. And without the bass, it's not gonna be as exciting, but. So I don't like how it leads back in, but let's just see what we got so far. I'll get the bass going here. Oh bass, why are you buzzing? I'm not happy with you. How dare you? Okay, so I want to be almost deliberately boring by contrast, but I think it will make this section more of a relief, because sometimes you just need relief from even if you love a section, sometimes taking a break from it makes you feel like, wow, I love it more now. I don't like that, but that's kind of nice. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Okay, so. I keep forgetting what I'm gonna do. Just a simple thing. gonna try it. That one was fine. So now we've got these two sections. To me, a lot of the way a section functions, what makes a section work is the way it functions, is what I'm trying to say. And I guess I should probably record one more of these guitars real quick because I've got this panning thing going. That's fine. So now we've got the hard pan again, and it's this. So what I might want to do is actually do this again, but do a riff. And so I hear a nice way to lead it back. And I think that'd be a really cool way to do it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It might surprise you. Maybe you already see where I'm going with it, but I have an idea. I like it. I'm gonna try it, and then let me know if you agree. Because I think a little riff that leads back to the other section is gonna be kind of cool. And another one here. Bum, bum, bum. It's gonna make sense, I think. Oh, I did my timing wrong. Okay. And then I'm gonna actually just edit the keyboard part so that it does that, because I'm so bad at keys. And we're gonna go da na na. What is this? Cool. I'm gonna octave it. What the heck? Hey, I accidentally hit record. Where are we? Where are we? I lost the thread. Okay, let's see how this loops back. Actually, no. I'm gonna get the bass in there too, because the bass is gonna make it all make sense, and then we'll see if it loops back on itself nicely. Boom. Okay, here we go. Thanks for hanging out with me, by the way, and if you got more questions, I'll stop and do questions again. There we go. Now, woo, let's see if this works. It works, but it doesn't work as well as it could because the voicings don't line up right. But I like it. works. I would probably mess with it for longer, but you know, it's already been a long stream. Let's maybe we can land the plane with a little bit of a vocal idea. I've got this mic here that I think is in channel 3. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna use this. Well, no, I think I'm gonna use this mic actually. This is a little prettier. Okay, prettier mic. But I don't remember what channel I put it in. I think it's in 4. Yeah, okay, cool. Do 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 ba ba da 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 da. Okay. So we were just talking about. You're hearing 2 mics right now, and one of them's slightly behind the other one, so it's going to sound a little funky. But I was just talking about setting up a microphone. I'm going to mute this microphone. So this is going to be a little quiet for a sec, but let's see. Turn the gain up a little bit, and we'll get in here. Check. Hey, we'll roll off some low end, bump the high end a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. See if we can't get this to sound nice. I'm gonna throw a compressor on here just to get check. Then we'll get this on here. Oh, the drums already had a little reverb. Checking the microphone. There's a funky frequency in here that I'm not liking. There we go. Checking the microphone. So, what we did is we set our gain not too loud, right? Nothing is getting close to the top. Check. It's close, but it's not going to peak. So we're going to avoid that clipping sound. I've added some reverb. I've added some compressor. Check. And now I just have to come up with some idea. I've got no plan yet, so this is also part of writing, is just finding something interesting. Let's see. I've been around in the summer and so, I like the thing I came up with here. Holding out and then I go. We're going to let this stay sloppy. And I'm going to come up with something better for this section. It had to be this way. I know I'm going in. If it had to be this way, I've been. So let's see. This feels like it could be twice the length. And then I can have a little more of a runway. But part of what I'm trying to do is just come up with that little ABAC. It had to be this way. If it had to be this way. Let's see. That's a nice little A phrase. If it had to be this way. If it had to be this way. So. Where do we go with this? If it had to be this way. This is where we get into some melody writing stuff. And I think I'm just gonna map it out like this. We got A minor, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not gonna do this perfectly. Oh, it's not A minor, that's why. It's F major, E7. I don't have enough measures. Hang on a sec here. We're gonna do this backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now we got enough space for everything. And these are our bars. So we're going E. Jesus, what am I doing? There we go. F, E, A minor, G. So my A phrase is something like 1, 2, 3. If it had. What are the notes of that melody? If it had to be this way. So I got, if it had to be this way. That's my whole melody, is starting on A, which is F-A-C, that's the third of the F chord. If it had, then I'm going to the fifth of this E chord, walking up the scale to the root of the E chord. Had to be this, then that E way is the fifth of A minor, and it walks down to C, which is the third of A minor. That's why that melody works. If it had to be this way. Oh. And I might do oh no. Oh no. I might do a little, like a little B phrase here that's like B, D, D, E, which E is not part of this G chord, but since I'm kind of treating it like an E minor chord as well, and G, B, D, E is a G major 6 chord. It doesn't sound bad. Na 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 na. Let's try it. If it had to be this way. And that'll be like some phrases that I'm working on. And what's weird about this is none of my scene switching buttons are working. What's weird about this is a lot of people don't get to hear this part, and they think that people just randomly come up with a perfect song idea, when the reality is you're practicing like this a lot, and sometimes you stumble upon an interesting piece, and then you need the tools to make it more interesting. And talent doesn't mean you just come up with a song idea on the fly and then you just have to write it down somehow before you lose it. It's usually developing and tinkering and trying to get this stuff to be a little better. So if it had to be this way, if it had to be this way, oh no. That's my other phrase. I'm going to try this. No, no. And then maybe I'll make up a B phrase. We'll see. If it had to be this way, oh. If it had to be this way, if it had to be this way, holding underground, I've been trying not to say. I've been holding underground. Losing my voice a little. I've been holding underground. I can't. I'm trying to sing too quietly. I don't want to disturb my neighbors, but I don't think anyone's here, so I'll just sing louder, and if I get kicked out, screw it. If it had to be this way, if it has to be this way, hold it underground, and I want it not to say, I know it. If it has to be this way, hold it underground, and I gotta tell it stay, I know. So, there's something. I think in reality, realistically, I think I would like to make that section longer, but it feels good. So let's just hear how these two sections crash into each other. Keeping in mind, this is very much a sketch. I've already described the parts about it that I could and probably would do differently, but then I'm going to switch over to questions. So let's give it a listen. If it has to be this way, hold it underground, and I gotta tell it stay, I know. Holding out and let I go, I know. Hold it down and let I go. If it has to be this way, hold it underground, and I gotta tell it stay, I know. Holding out and let I go, I know. Hold it down and let I go. All right. If it has to be. So, my buttons are not working. Come on, buttons. There we go. So, part of what I'm trying to show you here is, this is kind of vulnerable, because this is the part that people usually hide. Most songwriters don't want you to see the process, because that's not the part you're listening to on the radio. You're listening to the finished product. And this song, the song seed, this song idea, it could go through a ton of different changes before it ends up in, as like a final song. And it's a weird process. And thank you for hanging out with me while I do this. I hope you've learned something just from watching the process. It's a weird thing, and the skills to sort of develop something and turn it into something more than this, those skills take practice as well. And one of the things that helps you practice is just writing something. And I can't stress this enough. So many people have this idea that, like, well, in order to write, there's a certain amount of stuff that I need to know. And so they go, until I learn that stuff, I don't want to write. I also want to add something here. Something very interesting. Marcha Bot says, that's why hearing demos of big songs is so cool. I got to tell you something. Demos of songs are also not what we're working on here. A lot of times a demo of a song, especially I would say 25-ish years ago, basically before the year 2000, recording studios were the place you go to make the record. And to make sure that you weren't wasting your time at the recording studio, you would use whatever equipment you have at home to do like a mock recording of the song. And so a lot of times the demo that you hear is not what I'm showing you here, which is like, I'm working on the song, I'm trying to figure out how I want it to go. No, the demo of the song is, it's like a rehearsal for recording with the fancy. Most people have a recording studio on their computer in their homes and have access to better equipment than the Beatles did. It's more common to see people do something like what I'm doing and have something like that actually be like the final product. So it's very interesting. Did I miss any other questions as we were going here? Oh, Chris says, are you going to keep this available on YouTube after the stream? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And, oh, we had an interesting question up here from MAW. Does your music writing always evolve around a root note that suits your particular voice range, or do you mix it up just to change things up? A lot of this stuff, MAW, is an if-then scenario. And what I mean by that is if you want... here, let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Oh, well, here, I'll just do this. Everyone has sort of a natural, comfortable vocal range, right? And finding that vocal range is, it takes practice, but part of what you can do is just think, what's a comfortable note for me to sing? And then write that note down, either in tablature or on like a chord chart kind of thing. And then you can go, is this note also easy to sing? Is this one also easy to sing? This one, not too hard to sing. This one, I gotta put in more effort. This one, and then it's like, okay, what's like my comfortable range? If I go down from there, no, I can't really sing comfortably much lower than here, and even that note is kind of risky. So the reason I say it's an if-then scenario, let me add a little reverb here, because if you want to project and sing loud, there's a range in your personal vocal range that's going to feel good for that. And if you want to sing chill, relaxed, lullaby kind of stuff, there's going to be a different range for that. So if I'm singing, help me out, I want to sleep, so I'm singing low, low in my range. Right? If you want that kind of vibe, then stick to the lower part of your range. If you want, right? If you want to project more and you want you want that your voice to project, then you got to find that part of your range to like really sing loud. So it's not there's a right spot for each part of your range, and learning where can I sing loud and it feels powerful versus where can I sing soft and quiet and it feels like really like we're having an intimate conversation. Finding where your vocal range fits is from there, it's just kind of like, you know, what does the song you're writing need from you? Does it need you to project, or does it need you to sing really soft and gentle and sweet? Okay, I think I'm going to call it a day. Unless I get, you know, another question coming through. Marcha Bot said, totally agree. Burning through tape back then was a big no-no. Yeah, that's, I think, most of what a demo was for back then. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. This was a lot of fun, and I'm grateful that you spent an hour and a half with me. This has been really nice, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this once a week. Trying to do it every Wednesday afternoon, but we'll see how that goes. My schedule has been pretty weird lately, so who knows? Of course, if you're here watching at the very end, I think you'd really like my school. You might as well check it out. You get a week for free. It's $12 a month